What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my tiny garage. We're back for the next part in the series of the Craftsman tiller. If you recall, in the last video we did have it running, but it didn't run very well, and it didn't want to idle up or idle down at all. It just wanted to stay constant, and that's the way it seemed to like it right there. But it does run, we do know that. It does operate, so now we just need to get the engine figured out and get the engine running. So let's go ahead and dive into it and see what we can figure out. Here in the previous video, we had stuck a aftermarket carburetor on here, and the reason we did that is back probably about 2 years ago, I had already went through the carburetor that came on this machine, and it was not salvageable. I had tried to clean it already. I sent it through the ultrasonic, as well as hand cleaned it a few times, and it just wasn't very happy either way. It was pretty full of water and had rusted a bunch, as well as froze and cracked a few things, so it just wasn't going to be fixable or replaceable as far as parts go. So we went ahead and went to a aftermarket carburetor. I see a few things on here that I'm going to change, or we're going to attempt to try to change. So we're just going to go ahead and pull this back off of here and kind of take it over to the workbench and take a better look at it. Okay, over here on the workbench, there is two primary things that I'm going to look into. I think only one of which we're going to do here at the minute. On the back side here, you see the choke plates. They both are the same. However, you'll notice the one that came off the machine is a little bit better quality, it would seem. Looks like it seals up just a little bit better to allow a nice seal around it. This aftermarket one, no surprise, does not, and there is a fair amount of air gap around it. They sent me a tighter choke gate, which I may end up throwing in here. It seems like it has a little bit of a trouble getting fired off, which would very well indicate that it's not pulling enough fuel in on the choke setting. So we may look into that. I'm going to leave this one here for the moment and make another change if I can. But I think we will pay attention to that, and we might end up changing that. What I'm primarily concerned about is the control linkage up here. I will do my best to kind of hold these in line, and you will see there's a different angle of attack, however slight it may be, between the one that came off the engine and the aftermarket one that they sent. And it seemed to me, as I was poking around there looking at things, it seemed like the issue is that the spring on the throttle linkage was not great enough to overcome the shorter throw here between the center axis and the outer axis, whereas this one here has a greater center to outer, so it would take less pressure to get this to move over this one. I'm wondering if these aren't the same size. They aren't. It's worth checking into. So I'm going to take these apart and see if I can't swap the one that came off the engine originally over to the new carburetor, see if we can't get this over there, which I believe will help us in the throttle department. The issue right now is that I can manually reach in there and move the governor linkage, and it will throttle up and throttle down to idle, but it will not do it on its own. And the spring tension seems pretty good when I test it without the carburetor hooked up. It seems like it would be enough to move it, but I'm thinking that the different mechanical leverage there of the difference, even though as small as it is maybe causing our problem. So we're going to try it. We're going to try to flip this around and just see what happens. And I mean, the worst that can happen is it won't work. So let's just try it and see where it goes here. Once you take that out, they should just slide out. Yeah, just like that. Let's take this one out, see if it happens to be the same size. This one might have a cotter pin type design on the bottom. Sometimes they'll be held in from the inside. Oh, some pops right out. All right, how are we looking here? It's pretty similar on length. Very similar on that. You can see there just a little bit of difference between the center axis to the outer axis. I don't know if it's enough to cause any problems, but while we're here, just switch it out and see. So this one should fit right down in there. Yep. Fits in there nicely. Contacts everything it's supposed to. Yeah. So you can see here it gives us a completely different angle that we didn't have before. So I like that. Let's try it out. There we go. There we got it. Seems to work. Seems to not cause any clearance issues. Alright, well, let's go back over to the tiller. Throw this on and see if it made any difference at all. Before I go and put this back on here, I'm just going to change out this lower portion of the fuel line and fuel shutoff. That was leaking and kind of loose, so we're just going to go ahead and replace it while we are right here. Snip a little bit of this off here. Get rid of that flare that had developed. This direct moment, I'm not going to replace the upper portion. I'll have to take the tank off to do that, which I might end up doing, but for the moment here, I'm just going to replace the lower portion. That clamp doesn't seem like it's going to work, so oh well. Guess we could just pull the whole thing off too. Alright, let's just go ahead and pull the fuel tank. Sometimes even best laid plans just don't go the way they were supposed to. That's alright. It probably all needs replaced anyway. Just hoping to place as little as we can. Alright, there we go. While we're this far into it, might as well just replace our spark plug, since we're right here. There's an access that they give you through the top of the fuel tank, but we're here. We'll just do it right now. Don't look too bad, but we'll just change it, put the proper one in. Don't forget to gap your plug. Call for a 30 thousandths gap on this. So what do we got currently? We got like a 23 thousandths. So we'll make that just a little bit bigger. Go 25. Oh, there we go. 30 thousandths. 30 thousandths it is. Just curious what the one that came out of here had. I had like a good 33 or so. Close, but not quite. Perfect. To be honest with you here, I don't think any of this was really the right size to begin with. How's my stuff look? Yeah, that fits on there tight. Alright, do a little bit of match here. About right in there. Wonderful. It's a lot tighter fit than it was before, that's for sure. Here we go. There we go. There we got it. Alright, let me just add a little short jumper. From there over to our carburetor. So of course, as always, we will go just a little bit longer. So there, about like this. There we go. Let's get that back on over here now. Right. Yep. Looks like that size is going to work just fine. Perfect. Alright, probably not going to be able to see this very well, but I'm just going to go in here and rehook up our linkage. Get our linkage hooked up in there. And our spring. Right. Make sure we remember to put our gasket back in place. Kind of important. There we go. That's nice and snug in there. Wonderful. Now I think that that moves at a whole lot better angle than what it did before. So hopefully that will fix our problem. Let's try to give it a start here. We'll wait to put that back cover back on till we're sure we're done. Back in here, move all of our tools out of the way. Alright, let's see if it's gonna fire off here, if we can get it to go. So that is the on position. Let's close this up to what they would say that would be choke. Turn our switch on. Make sure our throttle is up. See if it'll fire off here. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So that's all it was. This lever, that throttle linkage in there just couldn't overcome that difference in the fulcrum. That's all it was. So we just had to switch that over. All right, let's get our air filter cover back on. We'll get our air filter on there, and then from there we should be able to adjust our high idle and our high RPM from there. So we'll get it sealed back up. You want to tune engines with the air filter back on, because that causes a little bit of airflow resistance. So if you tune it with the air filter off, of course your tuning can be off by a little bit. So we're gonna get that thrown back together before we start tuning. So put it on just like this. See if it fits that way. How's that kind of look here? Still allows you to get into the back to get your choke lever. Yeah, that should work. Should work just fine. Can move that over the side. Yeah, that'll work. I think, as I said before, this is not the OEM type air box at all. This is the kind of design where it should have a square filter housing out here on the front, but it didn't come with that. It came with nothing, as a matter of fact. So I had this filter system, which is off at Tecumseh, laying around, which fits just as well. And for a budget unit for somebody, this will work out just fine. Not ideal, but it is going to work. Our new air filter, and of course they don't stamp the part number on it anymore. Part number is still on the OEM. So to help someone out in the future, I'm going to write on the part number on the end here. So what do we got? We got a 30727. So we're gonna go part. Excuse my handwriting. 30727. 30727. There we go. We tried. This is probably the worst chicken scratch ever, but we tried here. All right. Hopefully it'll help someone out there in the future. All right, I gotta back these screws out of here just a little bit more. There we go. I wonder if it was going to pull out of there. A little bit worn there on the one side of this filter housing. Let's put a washer on this. Give it just a little bit more grab. Matter of fact, let's just do it to both of them while we're here. Just put a little washer on there. There we go. Get a little bit more surface area to grab onto. Snug that down so we got a seal. Perfect. That OEM airbox would have had like a little lever out here which would have showed you choke and run, but as I said, it's not available through Briggs anymore. I couldn't find one real quick used, so this will work for the moment. If I come across a good airbox in the future, we'll flip it out, but this will work for now. So it's better than running no air filter on there at all. Alright, let's get to some tuning here. Briggs was nice enough to give us a little access hole through this fuel tank, so I got the cover popped out of there. I'm going to clip this RPM meter on the spark plug itself. I should say on the spark plug wire, which will give us our RPMs as we run. So what are we aiming for? Well, we are aiming for, on the high side, nothing over 3,600 RPM, because that is our limit. On the low side, I'm just going to go by ear. It just depends on how it sounds, how it wants to act, how it runs. It might be able to run pretty low, might be able to run it pretty high. Not sure, so we're just going to have to play around with it and figure it out. So to start off with, we have it up on high. Turn this over to choke. Turn our switch on. See if we can get a pop off here. Very good, it's gonna go. So we'll go no choke, see if it likes it. I like that. I like what I see. So we're just about touching 26. I'm sorry, we're almost touching 36. We're right around the 35 mark, which is perfect. And on the low side, looks like we're getting down into the 2000s. So that's great. That sounds good. I like where that's at. So while the engine is warm, let's go ahead and change the oil. Take out our front plug and lean it front here. Stuff's definitely needing change, that's for sure. Certainly doesn't look the best at all. Let's see if we can make a mess and move this down to the ground. Get it to go down here any further. When it comes to filling these, they don't have a dipstick or anything, so you're just supposed to fill it up so you see the oil coming up to the bottom of the threads inside the engine. So we're going to put some 30 weight in here and fill her up till we see it at the bottom of the threads. I think one of the last pieces to go on here is our side cover that covers up our belt and all that. So let's go ahead and get that back on here. Alright, there's our belt guard. Alright, we got it all back together. Got it outside. Let's see what's gonna happen. Our fuel's on. Give it some idle. Switch. Try a little bit of choke. Well, there we go. Our tiller's fixed. It was quite the process from beginning to end, that's for sure. Between the transmission rebuild and taking it all apart, putting it all back together, getting the engine to run, but we got it. We made it here. It tills well, it drives nice. I couldn't be much happier with that. Thank you guys for stopping by to watch. It's always a pleasure to have you here. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Hit that thumbs up button. It really does help out the channel. And if you like what you see and want to see more, be sure to subscribe. I got plenty more of these types of things in the future coming. That's for sure. No shortage of content here at all. So we will move this back in the shop from here and get it cleaned up, get it ready for a new home. And yeah, that's all I got for this one. So we will see you in the next one.